The post went viral. Not because it was new, not because it was particularly incendiary, but because it struck at the precise moment when attachment theory as an idea was reaching its fever pitch, peaking like a commodity, like a category, like a meme coin that people had decided all at once to gamble on, to go all in. The way ideas provide people with a framework, a narrative, a way to make sense of their suffering, to follow a trajectory. First, they exist as theories, clinical tools, studies in developmental psychology. Then they spread, first to self-help books, then to Instagram slides, then to TikTok influencers, selling how to heal your attachment wound in 5 easy steps. They start to behave less like theories and more like brands, less like ideas and more like merchandise. And when an idea becomes a brand, it begins to function like a financial asset. It requires confidence, faith, continual investment. It cannot be questioned without risking its value. It is no longer something to be discussed, examined, held up to scrutiny. It must be believed in. That was what struck me in the responses I had. Not the disagreement. Disagreement is normal, expected. But the particular kind of panic, the sheer repetition of the question, do you believe in attachment theory? Not, do you think the framework is useful? Not, do you think that the evidence holds up? But, do you believe? This is what happens when something moves beyond the realm of science and into faith. You do not ask someone if they believe in psychological framework unless, on some level, that framework has stopped behaving like a theory and started behaving like a religion. It is not hard to see why people need it to be true. The world is chaotic, and attachment theory, like all successful ideologies, offers a way to impose order on that chaos. It promises that the patterns in your relationships are not random, that they were set in motion in childhood, that wounds have a name, a cause, and a cure. It tells you that healing is always possible, that if you do the work, if you regulate yourself, if you take the right courses and read the right books and adjust your nervous system accordingly, you will one day become secure. And security, as an ideal, sells. There is an entire industry built on it now. A booming economy of coaches, influencers, membership platforms, each one promising to guide you toward the final coveted goal. Secure attachment. What was once a clinical observation about infant caregiver dynamics has been repackaged as a spiritual quest, a personal brand, a 5-week program priced at $4.99. The messaging is unmistakable. You are broken, but you can be fixed. You are wounded, but you can heal. The problem is you. And the solution is work. It is, in other words, the Protestant work ethic, repackaged for the Instagram age. Arbeit macht frei, except instead of laboring towards salvation, you are laboring towards emotional legibility. Instead of proving to God that you are worthy, you are proving to the market, to potential partners, to future employers, that you are secure enough to be loved, to be trusted, to be taken seriously. This is why attachment theory, in its current iteration, is not just a theory, it's an economy. It behaves like currency. It requires constant reinvestment. It relies on confidence. It must never be questioned too deeply. And yet there is something fundamentally dishonest about it, because what it sells is not security, but the pursuit of security. No one actually wants you to reach the end goal. The moment you do, you stop being profitable. You stop needing the books, the courses, the coaches, the subscriptions. The system does not benefit from you healing. It benefits from your continued sense of lack, your sense that you are almost there, that you just need one more piece of knowledge, one more exercise, one more investment. This is why the backlash was so immediate, so fervent. The sellers do not take kindly to heretics. It is one thing to debate the finer points of attachment theory, to discuss the nuances of secure and insecure attachment. It is another to point out that the entire thing now functions as an ideological apparatus, a pyramid scheme, a system not just to explain suffering, but to profit from it. To suggest that security itself, the thing that people are spending so much time, so much money, so much energy chasing, is a manufactured ideal, a metric of compliance, an emotional version of a credit score. Because what does security really mean in this framework? It means that you are predictable, that your nervous system does not overreact, that you are well adjusted, well regulated, easy to love, easy to work with, easy to be around. It means that you do not burden others with your volatility, your grief, your rage. It means you are stable, manageable, safe. And who has historically been asked to be safe, to regulate themselves, to temper their emotions, to ensure that they are not too much, not too reactive, not too angry? Who has been told over and over that before they can ask for dignity, for justice, for anything at all, they must first become more secure? It is not hard to see why this logic maps so easily onto empire, onto Zionism, onto every settler colonial project that has ever justified violence in the name of security. Stability as a concept has always belonged to the oppressor. The function of security has never been to protect the vulnerable. It has been to contain them, to make sure that they do not resist too violently, do not grieve too loudly, do not disrupt the order of things. This is what the attachment industrial complex does not want you to see. That its framework does not exist in a vacuum. That its fixation on emotional stability is not just a psychological goal, but a political one. That the entire economy built around it, its courses, its memberships, its coaching programs, is selling you not healing, but compliance. And so they ask, do you believe? Because belief is what keeps the structure intact. Belief is what keeps the money flowing. But I do not believe. I do not believe that stability is inherently good. I do not believe that security is an unquestionable virtue. I do not believe that emotional regulation in a world that is fundamentally violent is always a moral imperative. I believe that anger is sometimes necessary. I believe that dysregulation is sometimes rational. I believe that there are systems in place, capitalism, empire, white supremacy, that have conditioned people to believe that their suffering is a personal problem, a result of individual wounds, rather than the inevitable consequence of structural oppression. And any theory, any framework, any ideology that tells you to fix yourself before you can challenge the system before you can even name it, should not be accepted. It should be interrogated and not integrated, torn open, held to the light. Because if survival demands your adjustment, your compliance, your self-repair, then maybe the sickness was never yours to begin with. Maybe the sickness is empire. Maybe the sickness is this cult. Maybe the sickness is attachment theory.